Good morning, people. I'm sorry to shock you because I just woke up and I just look the way I look. So let me take some distance of this. Um, yeah, why do I make this video so early? It's an important message I have to give you. Woke up with that idea in mind. Um, you see, an individual should never let his destiny or the destiny of others be decided by a group or an ideology. And if we would follow this simple rule, the world would not have big wars, okay? Humans always make from a good idea that is embedded in a very individual, unique situation, in a context, historical context, everything. A good idea, they make an ideology, they go tunnel vision, they say this is the recipe for now and forever, and thus abusing the idea, destroying the idea, turning it into a perversion. Why is this topic so important? I'm wondering too, my people, I'm wondering too. I am watching the news, I see wars. I'm watching streams on YouTube from certain people who call themselves chosen ones. There is a lot of those streams. And what I see is people who exclude other people based on birthright, based on irremovable facts, And I think we all need the same birthright. We can judge people by what they say, and by what they do, and by how they live, if we have to judge them at all, rather than by saying, you are born belonging to this ethnic. You are not born as the chosen tribe or whatever. As long as we live and have these ideas, or we promote these ideas, or we are influenced by these ideas, we cannot live in peace. And I want to read now a famous speech from the Emperor Haile Selassie. But before, I want to tell you another thing that just came up to my mind, and that is that there is a lot of people, and Haile Selassie is one of them, the Emperor of Ethiopia. And this applies to every individual. They can have great ideas, making great speeches, having great ideas, doing great things. But none of them is 100% clean. A lot also do bad things. So it's hard to support a person completely. Just want to point this out, we have to learn to be critical. We have to learn to understand this. Nothing in this world is clean, pure, and perfect. Not an individual, not a group, not the citizens of one country, nothing. Everything is mixed, okay? And this is okay this way. This is a gift. Imagine if people who think in these categories were right. They are not. And this is a blessing, okay? Right now, let's go. The speech from Emperor Haile Selassie, spoken to the Nations General Assembly on October 4th, 1963, one day before my birthday, by the way, which was like 19 years later. This speech is typically credited as the inspiration for Bob Marley's hit song War. Alright, I will link it. I will link that Wikipedia link in the description. And it's a long speech, but I just want to read one part of it. Where is it? Here. On the question of racial discrimination, the Addis Ababa conference taught to those who will learn this further lesson, that until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, that until there are no longer first-class and second-class citizens of any nation, that until the color of a man's skin is no more significance than the color of his eyes, that until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard of race, that until that day the dream of lasting peace and world citizenship and the rule of international morality will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained, and until the ignoble and unhappy regimes that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique and in South Africa in subhuman bondage have been toppled and destroyed, until bigotry and prejudice and malicious and inhuman self-interest have been replaced by understanding and tolerance and goodwill, until all Africans, and I'm sorry to, this is considering Africans, but the innate nature of this speech says that this has to be granted to everybody, okay? It's for true equality. Until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight if necessary, and we know that we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. I repeat because I made a small mistake. Until all Africans stand and speak as free beings, equal in the eyes of all men, as they are in the eyes of heaven. It's an important part. Until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight if necessary, and we know that we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. So there are a lot of important parts in this speech, and it is very complete in terms of what the problem has always been and still is, sadly. An important part I find especially is, he said goodwill, and I also realized that goodwill is the most important. Funny, he also said unhappy regimes. He brings in psychology. It's, yesterday I made that video where I claimed that abusive people are unhappy because they lack something in their body chemistry, in the brain, substances. And this is why they have to abuse people. And he says now, unhappy regimes. Yeah. It's people who never smile. It's these old politicians that are very, I tell you, the best politicians would be young daddies and mamas, because they would automatically try to decide the best for their children. I tell you, these old people that we have, they could have one advantage, and this is experience. But it seems they don't have experience. It seems they only grew old, not wise. And they revenge themselves for all the fails they had in life. Their abilities are degrading because they are getting old. And they still try to turn this around, what they never did in life. But they get worse and worse. And they get more bitter and bitter. So I say we need younger people to lead us. Anyway, yeah, the speech, the goodwill. The goodwill is most important. If you have somebody in front of you, you are discussing, and you are discussing over the same topic, and you should agree, because there is actually, you say, I believe in Jesus, and the other person says, I believe in Jesus too. Then, if you have no goodwill, you will quarrel. You will fight each other. You will find something that you not agree with, or you will try to exclude the other one. You will say, this is right, this is my privilege, whatever. But if you have a completely different belief, you say, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Buddha, and you have goodwill, you will be friends. You will leave each other alone. You will be happy. You will accept what the other person is believing, and you will not see it as an offense towards your belief. And as well, you will not make your own belief an offense towards the other person and say, but my belief is better than your belief. And I find it very sad that this is still the same fucking problem since forever. We look also much too close. When we look at ourselves, we see our skin color. And when we look at our brother and sister, we see skin color. In which century do we live? What have we learned? Nothing, huh? For me, I'm 40 years old, or more than 40 years old now, and I wonder, for me, it does not matter what color a person has. But I feel very alone with this. It seems to matter a lot to most people, and they force me to make myself think about this too, because it matters to everyone. You know? If I say, Jesus is an inspiration for me. If I say I want to follow him, I think about him, he's a topic for me, people will come up and say, oh, I think he's black, and other will say, oh, I think he was white. And I say, what? I don't. Who cares? Who really cares? But I understand that it matters a lot to some people. I understand and I accept this. I also understand that there is a lot of racism in the world. I understand this. I don't accept it. I see it. And because of there is hate exchange between frontiers, the frontiers get stronger to the point where they cannot be removed no more. Okay? So the more the people fight, the more the one side hurts the other, excludes the other, the more the frontiers get established and get irremovable. And the only thing that happens in time is that one side is suppressed and the other is stronger, and then it changes, and never one side says, okay, now we forgive the other side, we forgive them, and we establish true equality. It's always like, okay, now we are the kings, now we let them suffer, and then it changes again, the other come on top, and it goes back and forth and forever. I wonder why we look so closely. I wonder why we're not looking a little bit with relaxed eyes, or we look a little bit further and a little bit deeper. You know, if we just start to judge people by what they say, what they do, and how they live, instead of how they are born. Do you know where the next genius comes from? Do you know where the next great person comes from who can be helpful, who can give a solution to a problem that has never been solved? You know? Yeah. And as long as we, another problem that I see is this: if you, okay, let me begin in another way. I see the idea of God helpful to find a place in life, because power can corrupt. Power corrupts everybody, whether it's political power or influential power for whatever reason. There are spiritual leaders, religious leaders who have a lot of power because they have a lot of followers. And this power corrupts seemingly everybody in a negative way. And I also made videos about self-absorption in terms of narcissism, but this is a universal thing that happens to everybody. Self-absorption is dangerous, and self-absorption means there is a human being that is not connected to reality, to the outer world. By the way, today I got a lot of downloads at the same time. Mirror neurons are important to connect to people in your close environment, and the hippocampus is important to connect to further groups of people. So it's a brain function to be tolerant, to be part of reality, to be interacting with the whole world. So if you dump people down, if you disable mirror neurons, if you disable hippocampus, if you let the brain degenerate, you make egotistical, you make narcissistic people, basically. But what we need is people with all brain functions running, very healthy people, in order to live in peace in a community. Okay, so God, the idea of God and divinity can also corrupt people, because it's a form of power. If you feel a connection, it's like a mystical experience. It can be that you have a mystical experience. You feel connected to everything. You feel power because you are connected to everything, and everything is part of you, and this kind of stuff. A religious, a mystic experience. It can be, you say, okay, I feel connected to the cosmos, and I become a yogi, or I become a Buddhist now because I feel connected to that love I surrender to. I become Buddhist. But you can also say, I think this is God, this is divinity. I want to believe in God, not turn into a certain religion. They make so many mistakes in these religions that they disqualify themselves, I say, at the moment, how I see it. But what I want to say is this divine feeling can corrupt. We see a lot of leaders. What happened to Osho? I don't want to call a lot of them out, with names, but they might start with a good idea, a good intention, having good impact. But at some point they get corrupted by this power they have, by the success they have. They get self-absorbed. They don't get the feedback of people anymore, no realistic feedback, because there's the same with a boss. If you are the boss of a big company, at some point everybody will laugh when you make a joke. And nobody will tell you what's really happening, because nobody dares to get in your way no more, okay? So you lose contact to the grounding. And this is, just woke up, where I come to the point of, divinity can make you lose contact and push your, maybe you have a healthy self-esteem, a good self-esteem, you feel good, and then you, on top of that, you start at some point say, okay, maybe I am God, and this is when divinity corrupts people, when they start to believe they are God. They can decide for others, they can exclude others, they can say, all right, these are my people, these are not my people. And we believe in the Most High God that was created before all gods, and this God is superior to all other gods, and all other gods are wrong. But not everybody can join us, you know. At this point, if you think this idea through, this means war. This means no peace in the world. This is what Haile Selassie means. This is not possible. This is dangerous, okay? And now the positive way you can use the idea of God is to ground you, to have something that is stronger than you, that is bigger than you. You might have a divine spark within yourself and feel it when you are connected to the heavenly glory, when you see shooting stars, when you see a butterfly in the sunlight, when you see raindrops on palm leaves in the morning time. You may think, this is so beautiful, this is perfect. It's not man-made. If man adds something to it, it will get worse. A concrete jungle is not beautiful. But nature itself is beautiful, and I am part of this. I am nature, right? This what I'm wearing is man-made. But this, my body, my blood, everything is nature, right? So, okay. And I have this divine spark within me. But outside, there is so much of that. There's so much that is bigger than me. So it helps you to stay grounded. So I think this is what we need, my people. But how can we teach this to the children? There's so much misconception. It seems it gets worse and worse, or not better at least. Let me know what you think about these ideas. But I want to end with that one thing that I want to say. I don't know how I get it together. I want to say that I believe we all have the same birthright. Nobody is excluded from anything. And I believe that you can believe in whatever you want that makes you feel good. And there is no exclusive God. You are not excluded from everything, from anything, okay? And I believe it doesn't matter what color anybody has or had or will have. I do not believe in the concept of colors at all. But I understand that there are big problems and issues that have to be solved, that are currently happening in the world. Thank you for this new day, for the new year, and see you in the next video.